Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do. If it's your first time here, this is what I do on this channel. I walk along in beautiful locations such as this and give my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world at the moment in the public consciousness, and that's what I do. If you're a returning subscriber, all 602 of you, I believe it is now, thank you very much for returning. Thank you very much one and all for being here. I really appreciate you being here and listening to what I have to say. So, I am not yet finished with the series with the seeds. In fact, I'm going home to record another video and upload that now. But as it's just seed sprouting, I didn't think I'd bother you all with it every day. So I'll be doing another video today just to show you where we are with that. And I'll probably do one at the end of it all just to show you the final result rather than carrying on day to day. And also my time is not my own. I'm heading home now, and the amount of time I have at home in my afternoon is very limited. So yeah, I will continue that experiment, but don't worry, it's still going. Okay, so today I'm doing an emergency broadcast today. Ordinarily I wouldn't do these kind of things. I wouldn't be kind of hyping anything. It's not how I do things on this channel. But I have come across some information that I'll share with you today that I find to be kind of strange, and yeah, we'll just go with it and see where we go with from here. Okay, so I'm titling this video "Fraud, Corruption and the Collapse of the Financial System." Okay, so as I've said more than once on this channel, I look at information from multiple different sources and about multiple different subjects. So I'll just adjust this a little bit. There we are. About multiple different subjects: political, geopolitical, science, medicine, banking, financial, crypto, all of these things. All of these things I'm constantly looking at because I have a broad interest in a lot of different subjects. And I don't want to limit myself to one thing because, as I've said before on this channel, everything is linked together. Everything. It's all linked. Money and medicine and finance and banking and education, they're all linked together. So when you have a situation like I'm going to explain today that is happening across multiple different what's the word I'm looking for, not platforms, but multiple different subjects like politics and geopolitics and law and medicine, all these kind of things. But because I look at all these different things, I can see things as they tie together. So I'll try and explain this today as best I can, as simply as I can. I'll try that. But if I don't get it right, please use the comment section to correct me, or if you're unsure of something, please let me know. Let me know. I can try and explain it. Okay. So anybody who's had any kind of inkling into the news or what's happening in the world currently, there is a company in China called Evergrande, which is the second largest property developer in the whole of China, from my understanding, and 131 or 132 total worldwide, the size of the company. Okay, so it's quite a big company. Okay, now in the past few days, that company is going through the process of going bankrupt. Okay, from my understanding, I don't know the number, don't quote me on the number, but from my understanding, it is 64 billion with a B in debt. Now, who are they indebted to? Investors, suppliers, and banks. Okay, now we'll leave that there for just a moment. We'll put a pin in that. We're going to come back to it. Okay, Evergrande, second largest property developer in China, in the process of going bankrupt. Okay, now over the last year and a half, we've had the worldwide shutdown, lockdowns, which is deliberate. I've explained before about the Great Reset in order to reset the economy, which is what is required. And why is that required? Okay, brief explanation of why that's required. Okay, the American dollar is, since the 14th of August 1971, I believe it was taken off the gold standard. Why is that significant? Okay, so after the Second World War, Europe was destroyed. So America said, give us your gold, we will look after it in our vaults at Fort Knox, and you can back your currencies. The American dollar will be backed by gold, and it will be the world reserve currency. So you can, all your currencies can be backed by the US dollar, which is backed by gold. Okay, so well, actually I'll keep going this way. The US dollar is backed by gold. Every other currency is backed by the US dollar, okay, being the world reserve currency, the American dollar. Okay, 14th of August 71, the American dollar was taken off the gold standard, so it became a purely fiat money, which is just paper. There's nothing backing it. There's claims that it could be backed by oil. After all, it is the oil dollar, the petrodollar, but that's not the case. Okay, oil went negative $40 a barrel last year during the pandemic and during the shutdown. So if the American dollar is backed by oil, it's not backed by anything. Okay, so 14th of August 71, the American dollar was taken off the gold standard, which means that it's just purely paper. Okay, now every year we're told that the currency increases by about 2% a year. Inflation, we're told. Afternoon, how are we doing? Talking to the phone as I walk through the beautiful locations. Have a wonderful afternoon. So we're told 2% inflation every year. Okay, so if we're inflating the currency by 2% every year, and it's been how long since 1971? 50 years. Okay, so in currency increases by 2% a year, 50 years, what's the currency worth? If it's devaluing, okay, a different way to put it, currency is devaluing by 2% a year over 50 years, what's it worth? Okay, now you get it. Okay, so we're in the process of a great reset, which is what we need, because the currencies of the world are worth zero. Nothing at all. Right, so in order to facilitate a great reset, the world economy has to be shut down in order to reset it. Okay, so the shutdown was facilitated by what? You know what. The thing that we're not allowed to talk about. Okay, now when we get into fraud and corruption, this is all linked together, I promise you. Okay, it's all coming together. Okay, so we know about Evergrande in China. Okay, we know that the American dollar is worthless and every other currency in the earth is worthless. Okay, now a lot of countries have been de-risking, get rid of the American dollar, and most central banks in the world have been buying gold. Okay, now what we've been hearing recently, now I'm going to change tack here, different direction, but it will come back to making sense when all this is finished, I hope. Okay, so anybody who's watching the crypto space recognizes that the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, is suing a company called Ripple over their product XRP, which is a digital asset, which was deemed by FinCEN in 2015 to be a digital currency. Okay, digital currency, after Ripple paid a fine to the CFTC, which is the government agency that manages currencies. Okay, Ripple paid a fine to the CFTC, and XRP was deemed to be a digital currency in 2015. Okay, now the SEC decides they want to jump on the bandwagon and they want to sue Ripple over an unregistered security. So which is it? Is it a security or is it a currency? Okay, now what we've come to find out is that Jay Clayton over at the SEC and Bill Hinman, there's been a lot of uproar about this recently. Okay, so Jay Clayton, the day before he left, dropped the lawsuit on Ripple, and the two of the CEO and the COO, I think they are, Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. So the day before Jay Clayton left the SEC, he dropped the lawsuit on Ripple for XRP. Okay. Now, what we find out, and Bill Hinman, who was another guy who was at the SEC, both of those gentlemen have left the SEC and gone on to work for law firms that have ties to the Ethereum Foundation through consensus. Okay, this is where it starts to get interesting. Okay, now both of those gentlemen left the SEC and went into practice with law firms that work with the Ethereum Foundation. Now, in the lead up to Ethereum and Bitcoin getting their free pass from the SEC, the consensus and the Ethereum Foundation met with the SEC to try and form a working group that they would decide, consensus, this is the Ethereum Foundation, and the SEC would decide what digital assets were securities and which were not. Okay, so you have the regulatory body is dealing with one particular product and deciding which products within the crypto sphere are securities and which are not. So you have one competitor deciding against the other competitors with the regulatory body to decide which ones are securities and which ones are not. Okay? Now, Ethereum was a security when it launched. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it, including the SEC. But they got a free pass. Okay? Because the SEC was working with Consensus and the Ethereum Foundation. Right, now here's where it gets really, really spicy. Okay. All right. Now, let's go a different direction, and we're going to tie these threads together at the end. Okay. Now, at the beginning of President Trump's presidency, we heard about Russian collusion. We heard nothing but Russian collusion for 4 years. You know, Russian collusion for 4 years. Oh, Russian collusion, Trump and Russia, and all this kind of nonsense that we heard about for 4 years. We were told it was 100% real, 100% true. Oh yes, Russian collusion. Yes, Donald Trump's a bad man. He's been dealing with Russia. All this kind of nonsense for 4 years. Okay. Now, where did all that information come from? Okay. Now, what we've come to find out over this time, what it was the DNC, Democrat National Committee, DNC, Hillary Clinton campaign, paid a law firm to dig up dirt on Trump. Right, that law firm was called Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie, remember that name, okay? Perkins Coie was the firm that put together the dossier, the Trump dossier, the Trump Russia dossier that turned out to be completely bullshit. Through a former British spy who put together this Russian dossier and was given to the FBI through a law firm called Perkins Coie, okay, who worked for Hillary Clinton, the Hillary Clinton campaign, and worked for the DNC. Okay, they were the ones that claimed that the DNC server got hacked. Perkins Coie, okay, you with me? Okay, so the Ethereum Foundation and the group Consensus that set up the Ethereum Foundation, okay, they were working with the SEC, okay, and they were saying to the SEC that they wanted to form this working group that decided which coins were securities and which weren't, okay? And the SEC said form an alliance, form a group, and work with us, okay? Now, who was the firm that was representing Consensus and the Ethereum Foundation to form this working group? Perkins Coie. So we've got the same law firm that was representing the DNC and put together the dirty Trump dossier that was complete bullshit, okay? So this is the DNC, Hillary Clinton's law firm, Perkins Coie, and they were also responsible for Ethereum and Bitcoin getting a free pass and nothing else. So is it starting to come together now? Okay, so what we have now, okay, we have a group of people, World Economic Forum, Davos, and we've spoken about them before, non-governmental organisations, banks, financial institutions, and lawyers. Politicians, of course, because, you know, politicians are dirty scumbags. So we've got this whole group of people, right, that require a great reset for their financial system that we're currently living in, okay? They require one because it's all going to fall apart. And in order, before it falls apart, we have to have some excuse as to why it fell apart and why we have to reset it, the great reset. So it's convenient that we just had this thing, you know, we've been living with it a year and a half that we're not allowed to talk about, remember? That came along 2 months after an event called 201, where they simulated a virus that went around the world. They simulated that, event 201, 2 months before the real one happened. Yeah, starting to make sense? And who was responsible for event 201? Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, World Economic Forum, the Rockefeller Foundation, the usual suspects. Yeah. So Event 201, simulated virus, pandemic. And then we have the ability for the world financial system to say, well, you know, because of what's happened, we had to print so much money. Yeah, we have to reset the financial system. Coincidence? No. You see the same players? Yes. Perkins Coie. So who is responsible for all this? Now, we come to the great big tie-up, okay? So, we've seen that many politicians, companies, many people have ties to China. China, came from China, okay? Politicians, including Uncle Joe, yeah, ties to China. And so does Ethereum and Bitcoin have ties to China. So, does anyone think it's strange that where did it all come from, okay? And when it all came from there, they were shut down for a couple of weeks. The rest of the world's been shut down for a year and a half. Where are all the tests, masks, everything coming from? China. You see a pattern forming here? Now, the reason I'm doing this video, I'm doing it today because this Chinese company has gone down the pan. They took them off trading on Friday, so they weren't trading publicly anymore. Now, the fact that they owe billions and billions and billions to banks means that those banks are indebted to each other, okay? So if they owe billions to the banks, and the banks owe billions to each other, and they also owe suppliers, and it has this trickle-down effect. So the current world economic system that we're living in is built on nothing. It's built on a house of cards. It's built on trust. And as these kind of things start to come out, that trust will evaporate. Now, Monday, when the stock market opens again, is that going to be reflected in the stock market, this Chinese company? Who knows? No one knows. I don't know. Maybe. But one thing I know for sure is that there's, you know, economists around the world are talking about this. And everyone's talking about this whole, how much money is being printed, how much, you know, inflation. You need to understand what inflation is. Inflation is a hidden tax. So basically, every single time they print a dollar or a pound or whatever the money is where you are, it means it devalues that currency by that much. Last year, 20% of every single American dollar that's ever been printed in history was printed last year. So, is this Chinese company going to have an effect on the world economic situation? Who knows? I've got no idea. Will it have an effect on crypto? Who knows? Afternoon, how are we doing? Doing a market report. So there's another thing that plays into this as well. Okay, this is really important. Now, we have what they in the crypto circles what they call a stable coin, which is called Tether, USDT. It's Tether. Okay. Now, Tether is a stable coin. Now that means that it is supposed to be linked one-to-one with the American dollar. So for every tether that's in existence, there should be $1 that backs it, okay? So basically what happens is if you're on an exchange and you're dealing with cryptos, you sell out of Bitcoin and you don't want to sell into another crypto, you want to sell into American dollars. Tether is that one that you do on an exchange. So basically you are then selling, let's just say Bitcoin's dropping, you sell out of Bitcoin and you don't want to be subject to the whole crypto market dropping. So you sell into Tether, which is stable to the $1 American dollar. Okay, that's what it's designed to be. Okay, now Tether was investigated last year, I think, by the SEC and cleared somehow. Not that the SEC is corrupt or anything, but they are. Okay, so now that there's a Department of Justice investigation into Tether, because it was revealed that Tether doesn't have treasuries one-to-one with the American dollar, it has a whole pile of commercial paper. Commercial paper. Commercial paper is stock certificates of companies that are traded publicly. Okay, so the danger being there, should the stock market go down for any reason, that means that commercial paper price will be worth less. So should people need to get their tethers, their American dollars from their Tether, but that commercial paper is not worth the amount of money that people need to get out of it. What do you think is going to happen? It's starting to make sense. Okay, now there is a rumor, I haven't confirmed this, but there is a rumor, and it could possibly be true, we'll find out in the next few days, that Tether, some of that commercial paper that Tether is holding is Evergrande stock. So this Chinese property development company has the ability to bring down the stock market worldwide, okay? Has the ability to bring down the financial system worldwide, because it's like a set of dominoes. When you have the dominoes and you flick the first one and that topples onto the second one, this topples onto the third one, and so on. We have so many zombie companies in the world and zombie banks in the world that they're hanging by a thread, literally. They have no money. They have no money in their treasuries. They can't trade. They can't do business, but they're still operational because they keep on printing money. Afternoon. Hello. Afternoon. So there's so many zombie companies in the world that all it takes is one domino to fall, and they all will. Now, the reason I'm doing this today is because there's every possibility that next week something major could happen. Either financially or something else, okay? Because as this whole financial debacle starts to get revealed, these kind of things, these kind of monetary issues to do with countries can lead to a war. Now, there's lots of pressure and poking going on with China and Taiwan, and North Korea has decided to start shooting missiles now that Joe Biden's in charge. Man, but Trump was bad. Okay. Now, next week as well, on Friday of next week, the Maricopa County results, the audit results are coming out. That's next Friday. Okay. So Monday comes, the markets could open. Who knows what's going to happen? Honestly, I don't know. No one knows. I mean, this isn't trading publicly anymore, but it could spook the markets. I mean, if this gets out of hand, it could bring the whole financial system down. Just like Lehman Brothers did in 2007, 2008. Okay, that's where we are. That's how big it is. But we're talking about a lot more money because so much money has been put into the system since 2007, 2008, because all I've done since then is just print money. So we're talking about a much bigger bubble than what we had back then. Back then it was a housing bubble. This is an everything bubble. The stock market is at what? Record highs. Bubble. How can stock market be at record highs when the whole world's been shut down for a year and a half? Okay, stock market's at record highs. Crypto market is, there's highs all over the place. There's some of the coins are pumping to 300%. We're in an everything bubble, everything, because everything is hyperinflated because they've hyperinflated the currency. There's so much money floating around now and they can't pull it back. They can't, I've been told, oh yes, but they'll just financially tighten, which means they'll raise interest rates. They can't. They can't raise the interest rates because the governments of the world wouldn't be able to pay the rates. They wouldn't be able to pay the payments. Neither would anybody else. This is an accident waiting to happen. This is imminent. There's no way that it can be gotten out of. No way. Something is going to happen. Is it going to be next week? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I honestly, I don't know. But I'm saying it to be prepared. I've been doing these videos about growing food, having water, buying some food and being prepared. And it's not because I'm some crazy prepper. It's not because I'm, well, I am a crazy conspiracy theorist if you believe everything you've been told, but that doesn't make me wrong. And this isn't just coming from me. I'm, like I say, I'm just some guy on the internet. At the end of the day, who am I? I'm no one. But, I'm listening to economists. I'm watching all sorts of information from across the board, political, geopolitical, financial, everything. And everything I see is pointing to a major event in a very short space of time. And it could be next week. So be prepared. I'm warning everyone in advance so you can prepare yourself. Because if this goes down, maybe next week, who knows? Honestly, I don't know. I'm just a guy on the internet. I'm not an insider. I'm guessing the same as everyone else is, but because I've got a broad cross-section of information I'm looking at, I think I've got probably a slightly better handle on this information than a lot of people would. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's your turn to decide for you what you're going to do to prepare. Should the financial meltdown happen that the economists have predicted, are you prepared for it? Are you prepared? Do you have some extra food or water? Should you not be able to get any from the shop? If it's overrun, do you have toilet paper? You know, those kind of things. Yeah, because if this Chinese company does have an influence on the markets, then no one knows which way it's going to go. No one. Economists across the world are guessing as well. No one knows. So preparation, that's all I can suggest. So on that note, it is a beautiful day here in the UK. I hope it is as wonderful where you are. Get out and enjoy it. Get out into the world and enjoy it. It is a beautiful place that we live in, this world that we live in, and we should make the most of it. So all that said, get out into the world, do good, be good, and make the most of it, because who knows what's going to happen next. All right. Thank you so much for joining me here. Really appreciate you being here and joining me for the walk through the forest. Join me again. I'll be back again sometime soon, and I will be, like I said, I'll be filming that video this afternoon about the seeds, and I'll be uploading that as well. So stay tuned. What's going to happen next? All right. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. I look forward to seeing you soon. Ciao for now.